Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome. Hello. I'll go back in the chat. Michael DePaul, hello from Ohio. Hello. Daryl Calhoun, hello. Professor Falcon, Slacker. Matt Chad and Creighton, hello. And Creighton is the only person that bought merch back in the old days from Rick the Cage. She got a jacket. Roland Halleck, hello. How you doing over there? All right, good. So I'm gonna. Oh, not quite set up, but I'm getting close. We're gonna go for it anyway. I'm going to talk about my 5-star char. Originally Ferdy char, still is. Ferdy char, charcoal soil amendment. Did a lot of great things. This is a promotional video for the product. And so the live stream, if you have actual questions about the product and about regenerative farming and about soil amendments and gardening and all that, then I'll bring your comments into the show. And I'll acknowledge everybody. How you doing? Roland? Yeah, Swan Hills. Holy North. It's not quite north, is it? It's actually the center of the province. Swan Hills, the actual center of Alberta. Meanwhile, where I live is considered central Alberta, which it's not. Central of the south of the main population, but not actually the center of the province. So again, today I'm talking about 5-star char, charcoal soil amendment, and how I came up with it, why I do it this way. I'm actually going to open it up and show it to you. I have samples of the different charcoals that are in there, and go from there. I'm going to show you some results as well. So I won't be doing a screen share yet. I've got a couple things that are still downloading. I thought I'd have them done in time. That's why I was a couple minutes late. So I grew up on a farm in northern Alberta. I'm 59 years old, so I was a kid in the 70s, right? Dad had a mixed operation of we had cattle and we had grain production, and of course, because we had cattle, we had hay. But Dad rotated his crops, and we were homesteaders. We were still homesteading right up until 1983 when Dad sold the farm. We were still breaking land, picking rocks, picking roots, running cat, running disc, breaking plow behind a cat, rippers behind a cat, and then a breaking plow. You would use rippers and cat. You would rip the trees, you break them down, you put them in piles, you burn them. Didn't realize it then, but had we chipped it all and throw it on the soil, we would have been far better off. And you would have got rid of everything, right? You could have run the roots, the root balls through a tub grinder. I mean, these are things people are doing. They were doing it then, but there was very few people doing it then. And we didn't know about it. It wasn't widely popular. There's more people doing it now. When they break land, they chip the trees. They turn it into biochar or charcoal, a lot of it. And they run a lot of it just wood chips on the soil. And then instead, and they don't use burn piles like a lot of people still are, but the ones that are really trying to take advantage of what's in the land, because again, when you knock down all those trees and there's years and years and years of the leaves falling, doesn't matter if it's leaves or if it's spruce needles and pine needles and cones and all that, it still breaks down, right? It still turns into organic matter. But the leaf mold from deciduous trees is the real gem. So what people are doing now is they're chipping those trees. They're burning some of them. They're still doing a lot of burning, and you get the ash because ash is important. And you get charcoal. But they're doing a lot of chipping and spreading the wood chips. And just, again, letting that break down into the soil, become organic matter. And they are putting the root balls through tub grinders. So all the soil that's mixed, if you saw Green Thumb Prepper's video on his leeks, and he showed you, he used to take that big chunk of root home and wash it, and he talks about the mess in the kitchen and the mud and all that. Well, again, if you just cut that off in the ground and leave it there and take the leek and run away, or whatever plant it is that grows above ground, those roots become organic matter. They break down. If you take something like a tree that has that same kind of root ball, but it's massive, and now you're talking about, roots this big out of a beans or peas or something like that, versus roots that big out of a tree, that big around, right? You take that and you run it through a tub grinder, bust it all down, break it up, get it back, and put it back in. All the nutrients, all the microbes, all the living organisms, all that is all there. So, like I said, I grew up doing things the old-fashioned way, kind of. I guess more than kind of. Dad used fertilizers and he used inoculants and stuff like that. But he did crop rotation. Very, very, very well-planned crop rotation. I grew up with this. So, Mom would not plant the same thing in the same row in the garden every year. She moved it around, but they rototilled. It was the old thinking, right? Dad would grow timothy and brome and alfalfa, and those kind, and fescue, and a lot of flax. So grass crops are perennials. They come back every year. And then about every 5 years, he would plow it and disc it, and then we would disc it twice that summer, summer fallow, and that would kill the perennials, and all the nutrients were in the soil. And then the next year he would start out with oats, then canola, and then wheat, and then barley, and then canola. And that was the rotation, 5 years, 5 crops. And then plant grass seed. Again, alfalfa, and it was always, but that's the other thing too, it was always monoculture. It was always one. It was always just alfalfa, or just brome, or just fescue, or just timothy, or just flax. Okay. And again, you would do 3 years. It would, you would hay. You would cut it into hay, and you would feed that to bale it and feed it to the animals in the winter. The other thing we did a lot was we had a lot of cattle. By the time 1980 or 81 rolled around, at 14, we had 900 cattle. plus 2,700 acres of cereal crop. So like I said, the oats or the barley or the wheat, right? And the canola. We called it rapeseed because rapeseed and canola are two different things. And we were rapeseed. I don't know that we ever grew canola because Dad sold the farm in 1983. After that, no idea what happened. We called it rapeseed, but we grew it. We grew a lot of it. But we had 900 cattle and big calving operation. I remember 2 years in a row, we calved 635 cows. Crazy. Just, ugh. Anyway, you end up with the big feedlot and you end up with all the manure and the hay and the straw, especially a lot of straw mixed with the manure. And so you put it in piles. It sits for 3 years. Sometimes you turn it with the front end loader. Sometimes you don't. But you would do that. You would let it sit for 3 or 4 years, and then you would put it in the manure spreader, and you would spread that on the field. So Dad used some fertilizers, but not a lot because we spread a lot of manure every year because you'd have piles and you knew what year they were. You knew how old they were. And we're talking massive. We had a huge operation. And I milked a lot of cows. I carried a lot of 5-gallon pails of grain and chop and crushed grain. We called it chop. It is crushed grain. And water. In the finishing pens, you carried 5-gallon pails of water, so you knew exactly how much water that they were getting every day. It was, yeah. So anyways, that's the background. That's what I grew up with. Dad sold the farm in 83. I was 16, turning 16. I still had to graduate high school, so went off and did other things in my life. But when Dad sold the farm, we moved to town, and nice house, cultured lawn, all pretty, all that. So Dad got a brand new self-propelled lawnmower and a gas-powered grass trimmer. And no, he didn't. We had an electric one with a cord. You had to carry the damn cord around. And then I complained about it, and Mom bitched about it, and everybody said, get rid of this thing. So we bought a gas one. Anyway, it was nice lawn, so we kept it nice. And we were cutting the grass and bagging it. And Mom's like, I want that in the garden. We composted. We treated it as if we had a compost pile. Okay. We treated it as if we were doing the manure. And because my brother bought the farm, we still had access to the manure. So we'd go out and get a pickup load and bring it in and put it in the garden, do all that, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, and then rototill the shit out of it to keep the weeds down. But a couple neighbors came over, older folks. And hey, you've got that nice lawnmower, Bob, they'd say to my dad. And you've got that kid. How about we pay the kid $5 to do our lawn? Dad's like, okay. He said, looked at me and he said, you get $3, I get $2. Okay. So I charged them $10 and I gave Dad $2. And I mowed lawns. And then when I moved away and went off in my life and all that, I ended up getting jobs. Sometimes a second job, sometimes the main job as a landscaper. Did that for years. And even when I was in the military and other things I did in my life, yeah, I did it. And then in 2000, when Mom died, I got the little bit of inheritance money, not a lot, but I got a little bit. And so I decided, well, this money actually, in the end, came from the farm and from things about the farm, really, you know. And so I decided, well, I want to do something with this that's kind of farm related. So I was, like I said, landscaping and cutting lawns and snow, blah, blah, blah. So I started up Kage Co, the landscape company. And then I got into learning more about new things, new ideas, and getting back to nature and regeneration and organics and all that. And all my horticulture training that I took at University of British Columbia and University of Victoria, and I took landscape and parks maintenance at Camosun College, and I took golf course design and maintenance at UBC and at Camosun College, 2 different certificates. And I realized it's all based on you know, conventional and fertilizer and synthetics, and you know, there's just, and none of it is based on letting nature do its thing. So I started studying into that, and that's how I got into what I'm doing now. And so here we are, you know, 16 minutes deep, and I'm still yakking about my life, but it's how I ended up doing all the years of studying and research and everything, and ended up where we're at now. Is that my brain went back to all these different things again through the years, the different jobs and different situations, and just learning from people and learning from nature. And so, yeah, the whole thing about charcoal started to pop into my head. And then I started kind of looking into it, especially around 2017, where I was laying on my back fighting cancer, weighing 110 pounds. Nothing better to do but surf the internet. So I started researching, just diving in. And you know, then I learned about charcoal and other things that helped me beat the cancer, and soil amendments and regenerative farming and things that people were doing, and I really, and biochar, and I really stuck into biochar. I was like, oh, this is great, you know, the Amazon rainforests, and you know what they do with the terra preta and all that stuff. And it was like biochar, all this charcoal. And I'm like, well, after a forest fire, you know, you can do it on purpose, like they were doing in all over the world. They've made biochar for centuries. You can do it on purpose, and you end up with the biochar, with the pyrolyzed charcoal that you still have to charge, put in the soil, do all that. But after a forest fire, and you see all the growth, like it just goes crazy. After there's a thing called fireweed. Okay, there's all the mushrooms. There's new grasses. Trees pop up everywhere. The cones have popped, and you get your new seeds everywhere, and all that kind of thing. You know, your poplar come back, your pine, your spruce, your fruit trees. Everything. Nature just says, "Here we are. I am the Yoda is here." And I thought, well, you know what? After a forest fire, your roots of your trees that are maybe 1 inch to 2 inches below the surface might get pyrolyzed, maybe. But you have to know how a forest fire works. And there's really not a whole lot of sustained heat in a forest fire. There's some, but maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. But again, you got to get through these layers. Okay, what I'm saying is, in order to pyrolyze something that's wet and green and growing and alive, you have to get all those liquids and chemicals and everything out of it. So really, after a forest fire, you don't have the time, you don't have the heat, you don't have the sustained heat over time, and you don't have the direct connection to make biochar. But there's no shortage of charcoal and ash everywhere. And the ground says, thank you. And the seeds say, thank you. And boom, new life. So I thought to myself, well, these people are missing the boat. How do we fix that? We mimic it. Okay, so I have the little sample bags that I made for doing farmers markets last year. And I'm going to show them to you a little bit. I'll open them up and show you what's in them. And we'll go from there. Okay, so I make 5-star char. Now, I called it FerdiChar for a year or so, and I still have the bags, tons and tons of them. If you want to buy them, they're awesome. All charged with my FerdiCharger liquid. Yeah, okay. FerdiCharger liquid. Again, do you see the happy vegetables? See all the happy vegetables with the smiley faces? Okay, that's what happens in your garden when you buy my stuff. You don't get that from anybody else. You don't get it from anyone else. If you want the happy smiley face vegetables that taste great, you have to buy my stuff. You can't buy anybody else's stuff. It won't work. You're not going to get that. It's full of micronutrients. Okay, so after a forest fire, the charcoal takes between 10 to 12 years, and then it's all gone. So I call it 10-year plus. And what I do, I use wood heat for my pyrolysis chamber. So I use a wood stove with a pyrolysis chamber on top of that, and I make a great big fire, and I get my heat up, and then I pyrolysize the rest of it. But you end up burning all that wood. You end up with charcoal. Now, if you burn the right size of wood for the right amount of time and get all the heat out of it that you can, when it's red hot coals, still in the stove, still cooking, still burning, still creating a ton of heat, red hot coals, because everybody loves that bed of coals, right? Okay, well, when there's almost no flame left, I pull it out. I pull all those little pieces of charcoal out, okay, various sizes. Everything from that, down to that. And I pull it out. I made a shaker, and I get rid of the ash. I save the ash in a bucket. I save it in a barrel, okay? But it comes out at about 1,100 to 1,200 degrees when it's on fire, sometimes hotter. By the time you've run it through the shaker, you're 900, 850 degrees Celsius, goes directly into the liquid. Again, that activates it. Turns into activated charcoal. The products I have in my liquid, the enzymes and the acids and all that, activate it. And they charge it with all those nutrients. All those micronutrients are all in there. And if you let it sit in the water like I do for a while, then the microbes that are still alive in the water come back. Because when you put, anywhere from 500 to 900 degrees Celsius charcoal into room temperature water, any microbes that touch it die, or within an inch of it die. It kills them, cooks them, they're dead. The way it is. Now, you let it cool down to soak, and then a bunch of them come back. They move in. Then you put it in the drain rack, and life is good. So you got that. So Even like I said, regular charcoal is still good. It'll still clean your guts out. Farmers still feed it to animals. They've been doing it for years. Just charcoal out of a fire pit. Okay, doesn't have to be activated, but it helps if it does because there's way more surface area. Here's the kicker: when you do that, when you supercool that charcoal in that liquid, it activates, and then you have my products that are in there, and there's enzymes and acids and things like that, and you get the crystalline. The difference is when it comes out of the wood stove, it's soft, and your animals will eat it. So you get, let's talk in the soil, because above the soil, yeah, cattle and deer and rabbits and squirrels, birds, they'll eat it. When it's in the soil, because when you take my product, you mix it in the soil because it's a soil amendment. So your protozoas, your nematodes, your earthworms, your centipedes, dung beetles, other beetles, okay, they'll eat it because it's soft and it tastes good because it's full of good things, all the things that are in my liquid, and they want it. They want it even if it's raw charcoal. They want it. So if they eat it, they're going to digest it and poop it out, and that's called castings. Everybody loves worm castings. Well, nematode castings, centipede castings, dung beetle castings. What happens to the cow poop and the sheep poop and the horse poop when the dung beetle gets to it? Take it down into the soil, digest it, work it around, poop it out. Now it's available for nutrient value. Okay. So I leave some of it in that chunk form, and then I have some of it which is in a powder. Now, I'm not going to pull the powder out because I don't want to get my hands dirty, but I make a powder. And I'll show you the chopper in a minute. I'm going to pull up some videos and include them in this presentation. So you end up with a chunk version of 10-year plus, which is wood stove charcoal. And you end up with a powder version of 10-year plus, which is wood stove charcoal. And that's all still soaked in all the goodness. And it'll all break down in about 10 to 12 years, which is why I call it 10-year plus. Now, the powdered form's probably gone way before that because it's tinier pieces, easier to take care of, easier to deal with, blah, blah, blah. Here's the cool thing. Your microbes, your fungi, your mycorrhizas, and they're going to live in it, just like any other pyrolysis charcoal or any other charcoal. If it's in the soil and there's space in there that they can get into, which there is, they live in it. So then what I do in the pyrolysis chamber is I do basically 2 types of charcoal in the pyrolysis chamber. So I have a chipper and I make wood chips. And my chipper makes nice small wood chips, not great big things like you get out of, okay? It makes nice small wood chips. So rather than the big commercial ones, because I'm an arborist, I've run a lot of wood chippers in my day. And, you get your big 8-inch, even the 6-inch chippers, 5-inch chippers, 6-inch chippers, all the way up to your 10s, 11s, and 12s, the big ones. They make wood chips that big. Oh, how you doing? Good. And they make huge wood chips. And they make small ones too. But the little wood chipper I use makes the nice tiny wood chips. And they pyrolyze just beautifully. They're easy to work with. They come out at about 650 degrees Celsius out of the pyrolysis chamber. And they go directly into the liquid. They get activated. They get filled with the goodness. And they are part of my mix. Now, the other thing that we do is we take the time And again, this is 100-year plus, because I call it 100-year plus because pyrolysis charcoal will last for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years in the soil. There's no guarantee that it won't break down in less time or more time. So I call it 100-year plus. Now, discs cut from branches. What I do is I take the branches from the trees, and I try to only use dead wood. Trees that are already dead. Sometimes you have to take down green trees if there's a project going on, or if they're diseased, or this kind of thing. So you end up with some green ones. I dry them, I kill and dry the firewood. But anyways, you end up with branches. So what I do is we put them in bunches that you can hold in your hand. And I have a special table saw set up with a catching mechanism. And we make little discs. And I call these the apartment buildings. And we make little wooden discs, and we pyrolysize them. So same thing. This is pyrolyzed, okay? This is cooked at about 625 to 650 degrees Celsius for 4 to 6 hours, and they are completely pyrolyzed, and it's like glass, okay? This is like chewing on glass. So the wood chips, and the other thing that we do is we take the wood chips and we grind them down into a powder with the pyrolyzed charcoal. So that's why there's 5 charcoals. There's 10-year plus chunk, 10-year plus powder. There's 100-year plus disc. There's 100-year plus wood chip, and there's 100-year plus powder. So that's the 5 charcoals that are in 5-star char. This is the apartment building. This is the complex. Now, this is like glass. So the bigger animals, if they get a hold of a chunk of it, yeah, they'll just crunch it down. Your deer and probably rabbits, maybe squirrels, but definitely cattle and elk and all that. They don't care. But in the soil, once it's down mixed in the soil, and it's 1 to 3 inches below the soil, and now it's usable for your soil health, earthworms, nematodes, centipedes, beetles probably won't eat this. All the studies I've done, all the research I've done, everything else. No, why would you chew on glass when you can chew on nice soft charcoal, or you can go after all the other things in the soil that you normally eat? Why would you chew on something that hurts? Okay. And the other studies that have been done is that if an earthworm or a centipede or a dung beetle does get some of this ingested, well, you've just swallowed glass. So it will rip you apart inside and kill you. So don't do it. So nature is smarter than we are. Oh, look. Yeah, that happens. So, yeah, I am the Yoda. That's Stella. Stella is the Yoda. We even started doing the spruce cones, which again, hopefully I'll be able, hopefully that's uploaded and I can show it to you. So that's the 5 main charcoals in the 5-star char. And again, all full of the nutrients, the micronutrients, the full macronutrients, all of that. There's living microbes. We put living microbes in. We have sources to do that. All of this is not, it's not just approved by the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. I'm exempt from registration with my products. Not going to get into that any further, but I'm completely legal. Everything's fine. Everybody's happy. So, you can pyrolyze grass. You can pyrolyze poo. You can pyrolyze anything biological. You can pyrolyze bones, skin, meat. Anything biological can be pyrolyzed and turned into charcoal And then if you want, you can put it in lemon water or other whatever and activate it. Okay. So we've got no shortage of spruce cones here. Some pine cones, but mostly spruce cones. So yeah, we're playing with them. We're working on trying to make them into something. Okay. So it's a process. It's labor intensive. You have to go get the wood. You have to process it into everything that you're doing with it, all the sizes. And that's the same with the firewood that goes into the wood stove. It has to be processed in enough so that it creates the heat we need. Okay. So it's a lot of work. And I have come up with a process to be able to completely control it. I also make barbecue charcoal. I also make cat litter with charcoal in it and activated charcoal in it. Okay. I make little pouches that you can hang in your vehicle or around your house, all kind of thing. They're in breathable bags. We call it Zesty Char. And it's an air freshener for your house or your vehicle or whatever you want. I have a customer that buys it and puts it in their diaper box. I have a lot of people that buy them and put them in their garbage bins. So when they open it up, it's not as bad as it could be. Okay, so I am going to start on the testimonial trail to convince you why you need my product. Okay, so just give me a sec here. I just gotta go through some things. Okay, can I watch this? Well, let's see if I can watch that. I don't know if I can or not. I don't think it's uploaded yet. It says 48%. I don't think I can watch it yet. No, content is still not available. It's being processed. We're processing this video. Check back later. Okay, so what I wanted to show you in that video is last fall, when we were still at the last place before we had to move, we had a couple neighbors that wanted our product. And so we filmed going to a neighbor's place and putting the product where her garlic was going this year. That's the Ferdy CHAR charcoal, which is the 5-star char. And so we spread that on the soil for her. And she made a mistake that I've sold her a lot of the liquid, the Ferdy Charger liquid with all the goodies in it. She misunderstood and thought we had to spread all of that in the soil too. So she mixed it up because it's a concentrate. You reduce it 20-1. So she comes over with her skid steer and these big tubs of water, and they're full of she's like, oh, I mixed it all. Almost all of it up. And I'm like, no. You only put a little bit on in the fall, and you save it till spring, and don't let it freeze, and then use it all summer. Anyways, so we ended up mixing that all over her yard, in her greenhouses and all of her other gardens, all that. But we spread the correct amount into her what was going to be her garlic patch for 2025. So we did that. And then she had a neighbor come over, had rototiller, and rototill it all in. And then she planted her garlic in the fall and waiting for it to come up this year. So I'm going to show you a couple photographs. I was hoping to be able to show you the video, or at least some of the video of us doing this, but here we go. Okay, 1 second. What's going on? Why am I not seeing this? There we go. There we go. Success. This is her on June 12th of this year. She's the same height as me. She's about 5'8". And this is June 12th. She called me because she said, I'm getting a little bit of yellowing in my garlic. And I'm like, okay. She says, there's some leaves turning yellow. No, wrong picture. And I said, well, and again, so I go over there, Stella and I go there, and we're like, it's June 12th. And her garlic is this tall. And we're looking, and she's pointing out a yellow leaf, and it's like, I think you're fine. I think everything's okay. Yeah, that's like mid-June. Now, I'm going to zoom in on this. If this picture does it, great. If not, yeah. Look at the scapes. Okay. Look at the scapes. The other picture's better. This is June 12th. Look at these scapes. Look at the curving she's getting already. Look at these scapes. Look at how thick they are. And look at, okay. And again, I don't have the full testimonial, but I talked to her. I talked to her Labor Day. And now she said, we didn't have, the bulbs weren't as big as I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be much bigger than the other years she had. And she said, well, yes, there's more garlic, but we didn't have any lost. She didn't lose any garlic. The little yellowing, she lost no garlic. And she said, I don't know, I'm still giving scapes away, and I'm still giving garlic away, and it wasn't that the bulbs were that much bigger than before, but healthier, better tasting. Okay, that kind of thing. So again, positive results, no loss. She lost no garlic. And the other thing is, she harvested 3 weeks early, or 3 weeks earlier than she normally would harvest the garlic. She went to check a couple, and she ended up harvesting the whole thing 3 weeks earlier than normal. And she had, the scapes were ready in June. In zone 4. She's in zone 4A there. So as far as I'm concerned, that's good results. And I don't have more than that right now. But her carrots, she was all her other gardens that we put the liquid in, and she's like, oh, the carrots are unreal, the parsnips, she kept going on and on and on. And she said, I didn't have to clean it. I didn't have to clean the vegetables off as much to get them out of the soil. Came out clean. I said, yeah, that's because your soil's healthy, and that happens. You pull a carrot out, or a parsnip, or a radish, turnip, etc., potatoes. They don't grab onto as much soil because it's not clumpy and clayey and crappy and hanging on for dear life. So the product works. I wish I had the pictures. Another friend in 2023, he's grown sunflowers for 15 years in his front yard, in his house in Ed. And again, you know, he's got the sidewalk coming up to the house and the sidewalk going to the front door. And from the sidewalk to the house, there's that little patch that you can grow things. So he puts sunflowers in every year. He grows sunflowers in the same patch over and over again every year. He's been doing it forever. He was using regular fertilizers and, you know, potting soils and all that. So in early 2023, sold him some charcoal, my 5-star char. It was called Ferdy Char, but yeah, sold him that and some liquid. Here's the thing about the liquid: you only use it once a month. If you're in a commercial operation, or if you're in pots or grow bags or that kind of thing, you have to do it once a week because it doesn't have the rest of the earth and the soil to work with. But if you're growing in the soil, you only need it once a month. And it's a concentrate. It's 20-to-1. It's got everything in it. In it goes. So he's got your standard, you know, bungalow kind of thing. You know, you go in the steps and 3 feet, you know, 3 steps up to go into the main floor, and a few steps down to go into the basement, and that kind of bungalow. And his sunflowers for the last 2 years have been 10 to 12 feet tall, even higher. They go above his eaves trough of the first floor. And we're talking bigger than dinner plate heads on them. Now, I wish I had those pictures to show. But just amazing. And then again, he said the flavor of the sunflowers was noticeable. And that lady, Leona, said the same thing about her carrots and her garlic and her parsnips and her turnips, and just noticeable difference in how good they tasted. And again, the soil was, you just pull it out, hardly out, you know, brush it off. You don't have to wash it off. You don't have to scrape all that chunks of clay sticking to it, you know. So I know the stuff works. And so there we are, folks. We're getting close to the hour. And I will, once I can post it, I will post the video of us working with her and putting the product in the soil. With everything that's happened and the move we had to make and my accident, I've had the video on my phone for a year. Over a year. Well over. Yeah, about a year. Actually, yeah, we're in October, so it's a year that I've had the video on my phone. I haven't done anything with it. But I've got it now. I'm going to put it out. But I have some lab tests done. I'm working on more. But the product works. My prices are good. My packaging is good. I sell it in a 1 liter, a 4 liter, and an 8 liter. As far as both products, the liquid comes in. This is the 1 liter. I sell it in a 4 liter. I sell it in an 8 liter. I don't have the packaging on this one, but that's a 1 liter bag of the 5-star char. And I have these promotion bags that I did up. This is a 2 liter that I sell for the price of a 1 liter, and then I do giveaways on these, and all the information's on them, the directions on how to use them, all that kind of stuff. We're going to build a new website, a brand new website to have everything on. It's going to be professionally done. It's not going to be me fumbling through like I've done the last few years. And our prices are good. And I can sell it by the ton. I can make it by the ton. I can sell it by the ton. I'd like to see farmers put it in their fields and use it and utilize it and grow healthier crops. Get away from the synthetic chemicals. That's the whole idea. But as far as I'm concerned, nobody has been concentrating on just ordinary people and regular gardeners and folks with just, trying to feed themselves at home, that kind of thing. So that's what I'm working on. And that's the whole idea behind what we're doing here. And I just can't say it enough that we are 5 steps ahead of everybody else. Again, I saw discrepancies. Biochar is great. It is. It's awesome. None of what I'm doing is the absolute end answer. You still have to do your soil tests. You still have to know what's going on with, what you're trying to accomplish, all that kind of stuff. But with what's in our liquid and what's in our char, and the fact that you have all those different charcoals that are available immediately and available hundreds of years down the road. I tell people, they're like, well, how often do I put this on? The 5-star char? Once every 10 years. After 8 to 10 years, if you're doing regenerative soil and you're, building your soil and working on your permaculture practices, etc., your soil, starts to build. You get a few millimeters every year. And after 8 to 10 years, your charcoal's down here and you're planting up here. And the soft charcoal, the 10-year plus, is gone. If it's not gone, it's close to being gone. And all your pyrolyzed charcoal is down here, still doing its job, but it's time to put another layer on. So every 10 years is what I say. And that just keeps the nutrient cycle, it keeps the soil cycle, it keeps all those things going. You're always adding fresh microbes, fresh nutrients, all that. And there's the other thing, this beautiful thing about microbes. They don't go to war. Microbes don't go to war, okay? You put microbes in the soil and they're not indigenous or local to your area or that kind of thing. If they're still able to operate, they will. And they'll hook up with the other microbes and it's like, oh, hello, I have a cat. Right. Yes, you're an internet superstar now. No, you are. Stripe is an internet superstar. Yeah. What was I talking about, Stripe? You interrupted me. Stripe interrupted me. What was I talking about? Yeah, so the microbes don't go to war. They'll talk to each other and they'll say, yeah, we need magnesium in aisle 6. And the microbes will say, well, we just brought a ton of magnesium and copper and riboflavin and all these goodies. So just, what do you need? Where do you need it? Let's take it there. And they'll work together. Now, here's the beautiful thing about nature. If there's too much of something, nature will try and correct it. So if you have too many microbes, nematodes are going to move in and say, just like coyotes move in when there's too many rabbits and too many grouse and too many deer, And then once the cycle's over, if there's too many nematodes, they'll start to die off, or the earthworms will eat them, or the centipedes, or they'll just die off, just like the coyotes will get mange, or they'll get brood sickness, or they'll fight amongst themselves and start taking themselves. The young ones, the healthy ones, will take out the older, weak ones. Nature is that way. And so our products are designed to work with nature, to bring everything that can possibly be brought in micronutrients, in small form. Not too much at once. It's not 10, 10, 10. It's not 5, 5, 5. It's not 20, 20, 20. It's not NPK numbers like you're used to. In fact, on my packaging, it's 000. Why is that? Is there enough nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus to be measured and give a number? Yes and no. In the concentrate, there is. But when you mix it 20-1 and start putting it on your field or your garden or whatever, no. It's down, it's reduced. And honestly, the NPKs and all those high numbers, that's what kills microbes. That's what kills soil. That's what causes problems. And that's why you need fungicides and pesticides, because fungus tries to take over. Nature tries to repair itself. Okay. So pesticides, pests try to take over because the plant is sick. Shouldn't be alive. You got to get rid of it. When you use a natural product, an organic product, a full, beautiful thing like ours that's not synthetic in any way, shape, or form, and it has just all the things that are needed for nature to decide, yep, I need this here. Okay, that's the whole trick. So that's 5-star CHAR. And it's basically FertiCharger as well. I am going to do a different video live stream on FertiCharger. Talk about it. But there's other soil amendments. There's other great stuff out there. There's other methods. But our product is both a quick fix and a long fix. It's short-term and long-term. It's designed to be affordable, easy to work with. And most importantly, it's what the soil and all the creatures in the soil and all the plants in the soil want and need. And so there's great products out there like EM1. And then you can, mix it with molasses and these other ingredients and let it sit for a few days and do all that. And then mix it in the soil and use it on your plants and all that. With FertiCharger, you don't have to. And with FertiChar, you don't have to, because it's in there. When you put FertiChar or 5-star CHAR in your soil, it's soaked already, completely inoculated with FertiCharger. So it's ready to go. So thank you very much, folks. And I hope this helps. My email will be in the description. And I will post it here. It's pretty easy. I'm going to sneeze soon. I'm going to sneeze because I've sucked in some of the dust. It's all really dry stuff. So I've got some charcoal dust in my nose, and my nose wants to get rid of it. So I'll try and get off the live stream before there's a big achoo and you think I have COVID. Okay, here we go. There it is. fivestatchar.ab @gmail.com. And I did that because it's Alberta, AB. And I hope to sell franchises down the road. And if you're interested in that, call me. Send me an email and we'll chat. So there could be a .sk, a .bc, a .ok for Oklahoma, a .mi for Michigan, a .ha for Hawaii. It could be a .uk, a .au for Australia. We don't know. What's Fiji? Is it FI? Is it .fi for Fiji? Let's find out. Brazil, Argentina. Anybody? Anyone? We are taking orders for Southern Hemisphere right now, so we can, if you're willing to pay for the shipping, we'll send it to you. Southern Hemisphere, a lot of course, are gardening year round, but a lot of the areas are moving into their garden season, etc. So, everyone duck. I'm the Yoda. There we are, folks. That's your hour. That's your promo. That's your please buy my stuff. And again, send me an email and we'll chat. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate you being here. Do yourself to save yourself and save the world. Get into regenerative farming. Get into permaculture. Grow your own food. Be healthy. Cheers.